Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of Riders Republic. I played on the PS5, it's also available on the PS4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, PC, and even Stadia. I keep waiting for the day that I'm not gonna have to say Stadia. So let's get into the story, which, I mean, it's not really much of a story, it's kind of the same as like any of these sports games. You're a young and up-and-coming rider, and somebody kind of takes you under their wing, and you have to compete in a bunch of events to get to the larger, bigger events. I mean, that's basically it. So that being said, let's get into the audio, and first off, I'm going to say for the music, it's very hit or miss for me. There were some songs that I really enjoyed, but then there were also songs that I really couldn't care less about. So let's move on to the sound effects, and I gotta say, I actually really enjoyed the sound effects. I think they did a very good job with the snow sounds, the mountain biking sounds, as well as the nature sounds. I think they did a cool job with that, with the rivers and just, you know, in general, the rain, things like that. I think they did a good job capturing that. Now, lastly, the voiceover work. The voiceover work is not bad, actually. It's far from phenomenal, but it also doesn't need to be, because this isn't like some big dramatic game where the acting carries it. So I will say the voiceover work is good enough to get you through it. It's not terrible, though, and man, some of the lines, though, wow. But let's get into the gameplay mechanics and whatnot, and this is a action sports type game, I guess? You've got snowboarding, you've got skiing, you've got biking. Specifically, it's downhill racing or like those big downhill like stunt tracks. The snowboarding or skiing can be racing or doing tricks, as well as there's those jet wings. There's a good variety, and there's a good variety in the races and tracks. And I think that's really kind of the key to this game, is the variety that they present you with. You've got your snowy areas where you can end up doing some downhill bike racing. You've got some areas that are not really great for skiing and snowboarding, but they have you doing it and racing there. Some of the courses are really technical, some of them are really built for speed. There's a variety of doing grinds and just like aerial tricks. They do a good job mixing it up. And it's a huge open world that you can really travel across as much as you'd like, or just jump from race to race if you would prefer, but they do have collectibles in between. Every race or stunt challenge that you do also has added objectives, like doing certain tricks in a certain spot, doing tricks while racing, etc. The game also has what they call funkies, like an ice cream like delivery bike basically to do races and stunts with, or a super short snowboard or skis. Stuff like that adds a certain level of variety, and I like the extra challenges. There were definitely times where I felt myself redoing a race multiple times trying to complete a challenge that I knew I could do if I just pushed it a little harder. Now, this game is one of those pseudo-massively multiplayer games as well, so while you're going around the world, you will see other players. You can compete with other players. You can compete co-op or solo. They also have their mass races, which those are pretty fun, but my god, they are chaotic. We're talking up to 64 players all in one race, and I do think the races were really cool there, because you might start out like doing downhill biking and then it'll turn into like one of the jet wing races, and like there's different legs of the race as well, so they mix it up, and I thought that was a lot of fun. There are also some other crazy wacky races that do that you can do solo or co-op as well, where you'll start out on the jet wing and then you'll go into a snowboard and then you'll hit an area where you're on the bike. It's pretty cool. And I mean, the gameplay is kind of at its core very simple, but it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I should include that you do kind of rank up, which leads to more gear and new races, which obviously that's good because it increases the variety. There's a lot of stuff to do. I shouldn't simply say races, I should say events. Now let's get into the controls, and I'm going to say I like the controls. For the most part, I think they are very good controls. They work very well. I do need to play with my dead zones a little bit because there are times where I feel like I should be turning and I wasn't quite. But that's on me for not having played with the dead zones a bit more. And yes, you can go into the controls and play with your dead zones, so something I need to do. But otherwise, I found the game to be very responsive when I was doing tricks. And when I was steering, I did get the precision I needed. It just, like I said, need to play with the dead zones a bit. Now let's get into the graphics, and it's not the prettiest game I've ever seen when it comes to the humans, but you're generally looking at them from behind and at high speeds. The character creator is pretty limited, but you can do some kind of fun and wacky stuff. But the real core of it, the meat of it, is the world. The world they built is very beautiful. I really love the different aspects of nature that they capture in the world. You've got like the redwood forest, you've got, you know, some canyons, you've got mountains. I love the blend of all of it. I also love the different and wacky costumes you may find yourself in. I just had a good time with it overall. I was impressed with what they were doing. I enjoyed it from a visual standpoint. I like the small details in the world, like you actually do find animals running around, which I enjoyed. I thought that was fun the first time. I like scared a bear away while running down a hill. My one visual complaint though is in some of the races, the lighting makes it very difficult to see the checkpoints. I don't know if it's because it's sunrise or sunset, but the color due to the lighting kind of washes out some of the checkpoints. So I would say that was my biggest complaint, because when you're racing, obviously you need to know where those checkpoints are, and if they're hard to see, well, kind of sucks. But overall, very beautiful game, and it definitely works with the style they were going for this game, because it is kind of wacky and over the top. So to wrap this up, I actually really enjoyed this game. I know I was gushing over Forza earlier, but honestly, I think I had more fun with this than I did with Forza. I know they're different games, but at their core there is racing to them, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed this a lot. I would really love to see a sequel somewhere down the line, not immediately, give us a couple of years, but I had so much fun with this. I fully recommended this game. Okay, so in the comments down below, why don't you tell me what is the best trick you've ever done on a snowboard in real life? And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share and subscribe. Have a good one.